Greetings from the right coast. This is Mad Chat. What are we going to talk about today? War. Yes, war. War is looming on the horizon. It usually is out there, but we know that things are moving out there. We're being, you're not seeing a lot of it in the news and all that because we have more pressing matters like COVID-19 and domestic terrorism. Ooh. So one has to think that this is all a preoccupation, a diversionary tactic, if you will, to what's really going on in the world. Our military is currently being held up at all kinds of places. We're in Syria. We've been in Syria for a long time, doing a proxy war with the Russians. Yeah, that could go south real quick. Israel, we are in line with Israel. Our militaries are linked. Everything, the logistics, the firepower, everything that we have to bear, plus what they have to bear, which is substantial. Even though Israel's a small little place, they got some serious firepower, and they are nuclear. Yep. So they have already said that if Iran gains the nuclear war, goes ahead with their nuclear program, which they already have been, and intel kind of suggests that they already have a nuclear, missile already. I just did some trimming on my beard here. Everything's kind of prickly. I don't like it, but I want to be able to fit a gas mask over my face and still kind of keep my beard. I might have to shave more of it. But anyway, so we know that here recently, United States Air Force has sent B-1 bombers to Norway. It's never happened before, and the Russians are not happy. Now the Russians have been doing. We're also in the Black Sea. The Black Sea is by the Ukraine and Romania. I've been there. Nice place. Back in the 90s. From what I hear, things have degraded even worse since I was there. At the time, we were hanging out with the Romanians. We were doing joint training exercises with the Romanians and the Ukrainians at the time, back in the 90s. Fun times. The Russians are notorious for being bold, and they would fly and dive bomb the ships, giving us a nice little show. They like to intimidate, and that's also part of their training. So when we were coming into Ukraine and they were dive bombing and doing their thing, just messing with us, our Sea-Wiz, which are 20 Mike Vulcan cannons that are radar guided. They got a little radar dome on top, and there's two of them in tandem on a ship. And the way it works is that, I love this system, is that the Phalanx, it's called the Phalanx, is that they automatically, these are the radar tops, they automatically track and lock onto the target. I mean, literally, it's as loud as you've never heard before in your life. It's bone-shakingly loud. It's amazing. Ungodly rate of fire at the target, and then it also tracks each other's bullets and the pieces coming off the target. So it doesn't just go bang and hit the target. It hits the target continuously in a barrage of fire until the target has been just totally obliterated. It's part of their missile defense. It's part of their air close air air defense. And they've taken that and put that on the ground, and that's part of the Iron Dome that the Israelis use. Literally, they can shoot missiles out of the air, RPGs. They can also hit any kind of artillery, any kind of mortars with a fair degree of accuracy. Birds, no, I mean we're talking about high velocity projectiles. But so yeah, so while we were doing that and messing around in the Black Sea, I digress. Yeah, I got to see how they are, and a lot of when the USSR disbanded, a lot of Spetsnaps, the special forces of the Russian special forces, kind of, they were getting out, and they went to these other countries, these countries, and set up shop and started teaching. And if war is your craft and your profession, then you want to continue that. Cheers. Jameson and Irish cream. Yeah, yummy. It's a Friday here. So war. We have so many things that could go left. We know that Russia, China, and Iran, North Korea, but come on. Have you seen their military? Force to be reckoned with for maybe 5 seconds. But yeah, whatever. And some other countries that might get into the mix. Now we know that, and of course Taiwan. Taiwan's a hot spot. My beloved Marine Corps, my beloved Corps has already changed. They have changed to meet the threat, adapt, change, and overcome. So in their gear up, what they've been doing, they're training up, they're gearing up for a possible fight with China, which a lot of people believe is going to happen. The Marines have started doing this like island hopping campaign training, where a small group of Marines can take an island, set up shop with these anti-air, anti-ship missiles and stuff, and be mobile and be able to keep the island and destroy any kind of Air Force or ships that are off floating around in these islands, and then of course exfil or hold the island or exfil, either one, within minutes, to go into the next island or to keep from being overrun. And then of course they have all the strike force, the naval strike force and air force at their disposal. Basically like an FO, a forward operating, forward observer, with the capability to strike and to call in, close air support and or naval guns and missiles. So they've already started doing that, and they honed their skills as FOs in the recent wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, and places like that. Syria is they're doing a lot of crazy stuff there. So our military has already, changed, if you will, to meet this new threat. Now we know that, everybody says, okay, China has like this 1 million man army. Yeah, sure they do. Right. They're not really highly trained. Most of them are they're there because they have to be there. Their special forces, well, I guess they could be high speed, low drag. They have maybe the 4th or 5th largest naval, and they have some air capabilities. They would be a good fight, but pound for pound, the United States has the biggest army, or has the biggest naval force in the world and the biggest air force in the world. So, and plus we have more capabilities than anybody. Now, the second biggest army, or most efficient army, would be India. India is like us, but with millions at their disposal. So, they serve freely. They're, like China is mostly. I don't want to say it's a slave army, but it kind of is. India, they got some pride, and they've got all the gear just like we do. They most of these armies, most of these foreign armies built their whole thing on mechanized and artillery, and overwhelming infantry troops. So, and they do have some air force capabilities, but mostly that is not for like a long strike. It's mostly for close air support with the infantry or the mechanized or the artillery. So that's what we're facing. We can literally push a button and hit anything in the world. That's our capability. We can send a group of highly trained and motivated individuals in the dead of night to put a bullet in your head, and or zip tie you and put a bag over your head and take you off to wherever. We've already proved that many, many times. Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, and I'm not even going to go into the crazy conspiracy theories about who's alive and who's dead and whatever. We do have the most highly trained group of motivated individuals that are really good at what they do. That being said, we teach the world. The British used to be. The British taught us. World War I, World War II. They taught us all this shit after they learned. The Chinese, yeah, they wrote the book of war, The Art of War and all that, but they just don't really have that capability. They like to have the edge, a secret weapon. That is their shtick. They do have these supersonic missiles, which we have already countered. Yeah, sorry guys. The Russians came up with it, and then the Chinese, the Russians sold it to the Chinese, and now the Russians and the Chinese had the supersonic missile strike. We've already countered that. we have the supersonic interceptor, which is more supersonic than their supersonic. So when we say supersonic, we mean that was their counter for our anti-missile defense or anti-whatever, is to make something super fast that it's just impossible to shoot down. And we had already done that. We've already done that. We've already figured that shit out. We are still the true innovators. But war, as it applies to us mere mortals living in the great United States of America, and preppers, what it really means for us, I really don't foresee a invasion. If it is, it'll be quickly dealt with. Hate these new cigarettes. They don't fucking stay lit. But as a military, our military is still top notch in the world, and is very dedicated in defending our this land, regardless of the bullshit that's going on. They are still going to do their job. Make no mistake about it. So as far as it means war for us, it's going to be some hardships. Worst case scenario, we could be like we were in the war efforts of World War I and World War II, where everybody was working and everybody was all the resources, most of the resources were sent overseas to help, with the movement, and you had the what's her name, strong, Rivet Betty or whatever her name was. Yeah, but everybody's doing their part. It's a very galvanizing thing. Very galvanizing thing, and I fully expect the Democrats to take that easy route because war is money. Oh yes, big money, big money. I really truly thought, and a lot of our viewers have been contractors overseas. There's big money to be made in this shit. Big money, big money. I thought about it. $100,000 or $150,000 to do pest control. I was like, but I had to stay overseas for a year and in harsh conditions and what. But I backed out of it. But $100,000 to $150,000 a year, plumbers, electricians, just air conditioning in the desert. Yeah, that's big money. Security. I mean, that's not even that. It's just security and stuff. I knew a guy that he worked in construction. He was doing contracting. He was a subcontractor for Halliburton, and yeah, he was prior military. I think he was Army, but he said he walked around with a backpack full of like hundreds of thousands of dollars in American cash, and of course he had his gun on him at all times, and he had a team with him. And that's what they did is they went to the job site and they paid the workers, but they had to be fully strapped and fully armed and follow all that at all times. They had to be 100% tactical at all times. But he was a construction worker. He was a foreman. But so yeah, there's money to be made in this, and not to mention with all the bullets, and maybe just gaming. Maybe that's where all the bullets are going. Maybe that's why we can't find 5.56. It's all going to the military, perhaps. But I digress on that. That's a possibility, and the government will do that. It will take private companies and corporations and go, yo, we need you to get on board with our war effort. We need food. We need beans, bullets, and band-aids now. Pump it out. Don't sell it to the public. Let's go. We're shipping this shit overseas. So make no mistake about it. Things will be hard. So being self-sufficient and self-reliable, or having our own place where we can grow our own food and things like that is going to be vital and necessary. Crime will probably go up a little bit. Is already doing that as well. So yeah, that would be very likely. As far as like some of the world order aspects, it could be some type of thing where they start quickly eroding our rights because of the war effort. Never let a crisis go to waste, right? So yeah. So I'm not talking about invasion. The world already knows that we are. There's no way you can invade us. There is the possibility of possible nuclear strikes and the EMP strikes. We already know about that. That is intel. That is credible. Having said that, we do have countermeasures for that. But I don't think the goal would be to destroy America because there's so much resources here, and of course, 330 million slaves is pretty daunting. I think they want to kick us down to 1 million is what the key is, the whole world order thing. But I mean, that's just whatever. I don't know. All able-bodied Americans, male and female, will be joining the fight. So anything they might lower it to 17. It still was you could join when you were 17. When I was in the 90s, I mean I joined when I was 18, but 17 to 23, 25, up to 35. and people were joining up to 35. I think 35 is the cutoff time. Because after that, you're just an old man, basically. Yeah. My 47-year-old ass. I could still do some of the shit. I'm just going to need a nap afterwards. And a hot shower and a beer and some Bengay. Ugh. Ouch. Yeah, I'm going to be down for a while. But, I mean, I could still do it. Yeah, sure. But not at the intensity that these young kids are going to be doing. That's why they want the young boys, the young women, the young men and the young women, because their bodies, they can recover quicker and faster, and they're, whatever. But make no mistake about it, old age and treachery will always overcome youth and vigor. Anyway, the possibility war, yeah, that's going to change. That's going to happen. You're going to see a lot less young folks. They might institute a draft. That is a possibility, especially under this regime, the hair sniffing regime. So, I would see that as a strong possibility. If there was to be some type of nuclear option that was employed upon us, or EMP strike, it would make life difficult. But we're a big enough country that we can absorb at least one or two nuclear blast, and they might allow it just to get rid of some of the population. So I mean that's conspiracy theory stuff too, and gaming that way. But a war would definitely drain our resources here. It would make life very, very hard for us as just regular Americans doing our 9 to 5 with our face mask, our face diaper on. So COVID-19 would be the least of our worries, wouldn't it? But yeah, a war would. I think it would. It would definitely, after the war. That if seriously in a scenario, I cannot see, especially with China, and because it's not going to just be us, okay? The Canadians, we have allies. We have the Canadians. They may or may not be all in. They always have been. It's just the way it is. Every conflict, the Canadians been right there by our side, man. Sending hate and discontent downrange and dying for the cause. So because they know it's very intrinsic. We're neighbors, so what affects us will eventually affect them. Depends on how much they put into it. Now that they have Trudeau, I don't know. That's up in the air. Mexico, whatever. We do know. Well, let me go through the allies. Japan. Japan is actually a pretty good fighting force, and they will fight. It's a small kind of. They have more troops than anything, and they're mechanized. They can put troops on the ground. They got a small little air force, and they got a small little navy, but they will fight. South Korea will definitely fight. You know they will. Those Korean Rock Marines are badass. If you want to meet an old Marine, what a Marine used to be back in the 40s and 50s, just look at any Korean Rock Marine. They're badass. Fucking badass. Tough as nails. Badass. But maybe some European countries. Britain, yeah, they'll be on board. Because there's money to be made. There is money to be made in war. And there's resources that can be grabbed as well. Look at Afghanistan. I mean, so rich with untapped resources there. From uranium to precious metals to raw materials to kush, hashish, opium. So yeah, I mean there's a lot of things to resources that can be attained with a war with China and Russia and Iran and North Korea. I don't know. I don't know about North Korea, but and we do have some allies that are willing to fight. There's a lot of countries that do not like, a lot of Asian countries that do not like China's influence in their shit. You know, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Burma, Thailand, all those guys, they want to be fucking left alone and do their own thing. They're very nice and they like to do their own fucking thing. They don't want China sticking their nose in their fucking business because they have been a lot. Africa, China is in Africa rebuilding stuff. They walk into a country and they go, hey, we notice you don't have an infrastructure. We'll build it for you, but at a price. Yeah, so they're doing that. So we do have some allies that are willing to fight. It'll help, but you know, mostly it's going to be us kicking ass. And there's always that call of war for the young, always. So expect all your able-bodied young people to go off to war, and we're going to be stuck here to provide for the war effort. So I think that's what war would mean for us. It wouldn't be an invasion, because that's just unsustainable. You know, I mean, even if the blue hats walked in, because you know they know that they would just it would not be pretty. It would not be pretty. From roving gangbangers with their Uzis and AK-47s and lowrider 62 Chevys to rednecks in the back of the truck with deer rifles and shotguns and their four-wheel drives. You know, everybody's got an AR-15. There's a lot of AK-47s here too. I've had both of them. But who knows? Who knows? If a war does happen, expect all the bullshit that's going on in this country to kind of take a back seat to the war effort. If it's a full-blown war, if it's a conflict here and there, small little footprint, it's not a lot of expect all these implementations to keep going into our society. You know, the grab for our guns and our rights and all that. Yeah, sure. Maybe they are trying to set us up to allow some foreign entity to just walk in and do what they want. But first, they know they have to take our pew-pew. Our pew-pew capability. So just thinking about it and looking at all the airplanes flying around. There is something to that. There is something to that, especially when you're looking at military planes. You know, we have a lot of reach. We really do. Russia, China, they have some worldwide reach. They can pull together their admin and their logistics to get some kind of worldwide, but not like us. Not like us. There's a lot of things going on in the Atlantic too, or the North Pole. The Russians are actually setting up shop there. We don't like it. It's not supposed to be anything up there. It's supposed to be a treaty kind of free zone. But a lot of the Russians and the Chinese, they're just kind of just moving in. Like, yeah, we're just peaceful researchers here. Peaceful scientist. Yeah, yeah. We have to carry our guns because it's dangerous out here. Yeah, right. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot going on. A lot going on in the world that we're not privy to. We're not privy to that information. It's there. You just got to dig for it. You got to look for it. Got to look for those flying airplanes in the sky. And you can also go on. There's military news that talk about all this stuff with the deployments, and they'll go into in depth about who's going and who's in charge and what their role is going to be, and that may or may not be true in some aspects because of OPSET, but you can see through that. So we just had a strike. The Nimitz strike group was recalled to home to the West Coast because they were out for 9 months on deployment, and after that's usually about it. 9 months out there running around, you got to come back and do your maintenance and do your resupply and do your all that stuff to get ready to go back out again. Make sure everything is up to spec and goes and no-go inspections and fresh coat of paint and bust that rust and all that stuff and go through all that. There's a lot of things that go into a deployment that a lot of people don't know about, especially on the logistics side. So that's nothing new. That's nothing new at all. Usually a deployment goes out, strike group or naval group or something. Yeah, they got Marines on it. They got Marines. They got SEALs. They could have Deltas. They could have Green Berets. They could have all those people and other countries' military on there as well. So all the allies and all that usually are, when you go out there, you usually get some kind of backpackers that hang out with you. I've hung out with the South Koreans, with the Australians, the Norwegians, with a lot of groups. Do a lot of joint training and just in case deployment contingencies, if you will. So it's not just us against the world. There is a lot of allies that help out and get training as well, valuable training, because they get to see how we do things. We teach them shit and they teach us shit, and it's a sharing of like-minded ideas and training and stuff, resources. So yeah, but just some things to think about. That being said, if everybody's gone, that also means our National Guard is going to be gone. That also means that a lot of our Leos, the younger ones, are probably going to go back in, probably going to get recalled. Hey, we'll give you an extra reenlistment bonus if you come back and go deployed over there. A lot of people are going to take it. So that leaves here a contingency home guard, if you will, to be a lot of the Leos, the alphabet soups. They're because those guys they're older. They're a lot older. They've been in their agency for 10, 15, 20 plus years. They're not deployable, but they still have skills and skill sets and stuff that they can do here. And they'd be more, they'd be used. They would be more utilized here than overseas. That being said, we are susceptible to infiltration. Here recently, they just arrested 11 Iranians from the southern border. Not sure what kind of Iranians they were. There is a lot of people coming across our southern border, and a lot of not just Hispanic, the Chinese, Italians, Ethiopians, Nigerians, Syrians, a lot of Middle Eastern, Iranians. it's unsure about how they got why they're here. Maybe it's just been a long, arduous journey for them to try to, in a plan to try to get here and be like, hey, I'm American. I made it to the land of milk and honey. We don't know. That information was not given to us. You can probably look for it and find that shit out. But yeah. Anytime there's a war, our gas prices go sky high. Any kind of energy, any kind of things like that, expect rationing with food, because all that's going to go to the war effort. Ammunition, it's all going to go over there. Everything will be emptied out. The prepper pantry of the United States of America will be emptied out and be utilized overseas to the deployment team deployments overseas in the theaters. So you can expect, everything from tires to gas to basic toiletries. Everything will be going towards the war effort, because this will be a big event. Big worldwide. It won't. I don't know. It's a possibility to be World War III. It is. And with that being said, there is a risk involved for all countries, really, because the whole world is now the fighting theater. The whole world is now the chessboard. So we've seen that when Nazi Germany was disposed of, and everybody ran to South America. We're still hunting them down, aren't we? There's villages in South America where everybody's German, blonde hair, they speak German. What the hell is this? Really? The Antarctic. So there's some things to think about war. What can we do? We can continue to prep. Food and water. Yes, think about your security. Absolutely. Try to. The best thing is try to get out and have that MAG support, that mutual assistant group support. Community is going to be key. Big inner cities are going to just be crime-laden areas of just. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be terrible because we know this administration, this regime is they're not here for our well-being in mind. Okay. But as a whole, cause they're not that fucking smart. We know that. You see who the fucking Secretary of Defense is. Come on, really? That fucking douchebag. You don't know what he's doing. But we do have some experts that we are willing to come and help with the effort. So. Just because our administration and higher echelon are fucking idiots, doesn't mean that the lower echelon doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, because they do. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. So that's just my thing. Think about. Really, that's if you see that's war is. I would say war is a definite possibility. And I don't think that would reach our shores, but we would definitely feel it. We're gonna definitely feel the crunch, because it's going to be a massive war effort, and they're going to need all the help and resources that they can get. So that means they're going to take it from us, and I'm not saying they're going to come and take it, no, because it's a total different animal over there, but. We're gonna feel the pinch. We're gonna feel the pinch. So people that garden, got land, gardening, things like that. It's going to be vital and essential. Having livestock, doing some husbandry. Absolutely. That's my goal, is to get out and start my own little homesteading kind of thing. And try to and open up the possibility of community. Seriously. Will the end of the world happen? Nah, Tiawaki, I mean, come on. We've always been able to adapt, change, and overcome. And we now have so much systems and things in play that it's just, it would be, a lot of people could die. A lot of people might, which is very unfortunate, but that's what I see on the horizon. Really, it is. I see that. That's probably exactly what's going on, and it seems like it's been a major workup for quite some time. So we definitely have seen the threat and the intel and working on that. So that's probably what it all means. That's probably what's going on. So that being said, just continue to prep, and who cares about what they think? The culture and all that. It's going to be pointless after a while, because everybody's going to be hungry, except for us. So our biggest problem is going to be, how do we not seem like we're affected? That's going to be the issue, I think. But yep, this is Mad Shad, and just some things to think about, I think, and what that means to the rest of us. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. So, it's Mad Shad, signing